Hi there, this is Eva at ilovetostamp.com, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about watercoloring. Um, if you have visited my blog at ilovetostamp.com, you know that I love to watercolor. It's literally one of my favorite things. I love our blends, I love our other methods of coloring, but I really do love watercoloring. So I was so super happy to see that Stampin' Up! Came out with the pink pigment sprinkles, if I can say it right. Right. Now, in the previous catalog, we had Brushos, and I have the Brushos as well. So I posted a question on Facebook in my Facebook group, and I wanted to see what people would like to see from me. Janet posted a question that she would love to see what is the difference between Brushos and pigment sprinkles. So I thought, wow, that's a great feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and make a video about that and perhaps share a couple of cards, actually one card, from beginning to the end, to see how you can make it with the pigment sprinkles. So what I wanted to start off with, first of all, and I will show you these in live as well. So I actually made a little swatch using watercolor paper and the Brushos, and also with the pigment sprinkles. So as you can see in here, you decide which one you like better. I personally prefer the pigment sprinkles. They're brighter, they're much more vibrant. There's one more additional color other than what we had with the Brushos. Yes, you can buy the Brushos elsewhere too, I get that. But honestly, I didn't even look at it before, how they look as far as comparison wise, right? So I did not really realize how much more vibrant the pigment sprinkles were. The other benefit of the pigment sprinkles versus the Brusho is that the Brusho comes with a certain set of colors that are not really coordinating with Stampin' Up! Colors. The pigment sprinkles coordinate with Stampin' Up! Colors, and I absolutely love that because that's how I love to create, and that's one of the benefits of Stampin' Up! Is basically that everything coordinates. Love that. So we have Melon Mumbo, which is this color. Now I realize it's a little bit deeper color on here than Melon Mumbo itself, but you are the one who controls how deep you want this color to be. Then we have Mango Melody, this color here. Love Mango Melody. Next color is Daffodil Delight, another color I absolutely love. Next one is Granny Apple Green. I cried when Lemon Lime Twist left us, but I'm very happy with Granny Apple Green. Please don't retire this ever. So the next color is Bermuda Bay. And so that's another fabulous color. Once again, you can control how light or dark you want this to be. So this one is showing pretty dark, but I know I can even get to maybe Coastal Cabana with this if I really want to try. This one, the last color here is Gorgeous Grape, and indeed it is a gorgeous purple, as you can see. So that's pretty much that. So I wanted to show you and now you can see, again, you can decide which one you like, right? So I'm gonna show you a couple of cards I made with them, and then I will show you the card I want to teach you today. Check out this card. I love rainbow color cards, and this one is a perfection for that. For the set I used for this card is a super cute set. It's the Everything Amazing, and I really love the bold stamp. And that's one of the things that is really great about the backgrounds with the pigment sprinkles is I was teaching this class actually to someone earlier this week, and I explained to her that if you have a bold stamp, especially a sentiment one, that's really great to use the pigment sprinkles because it just pops. As you can see, it pops. Now today I will make it a little bit differently, and I don't know what it will look like, but we'll compare. So the end result, that is. So anyway, that's what I created for number one card. Number two is my favorite. I am still gushing over Daisy Lane. Who else is? However, we have these beautiful dies, and I'm not going to talk about this card anymore. So, but I will want you to come back because I will create the video for this card as well, how I made it. Next one is this beauty here. Yes, I love doilies. So this card is another fun one. once again, I created the watercolor background, the color wash or the background wash, whatever you want to call it. I created that with the pigment sprinkles. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these right now, and I'm gonna get you started with this beauty. Okay, so let me just remove. So I basically used pretty much all the colors, except I only used Mango Melody. I didn't use Daffodil Delight, so we're gonna keep these out. All right. Now I cheated a little bit because I wanted to make sure that you get the benefit of, you know, the watercoloring. You already know how to emboss. So I actually gold embossed this sentiment on here. I hope you can see the dazzle in this card. It's pretty. The size I used, I'm going to mention on my blog post, but it's basically, I actually cut a bunch of papers down to 3 3/4 by 5 inch. And then that way I can go ahead and use, you know, matting under it. And for this particular card, we're using Coastal Cabana. Yes, it's my favorite color. It looks like I got a little smudge on here, but it's not a big deal because we're going to angle it, so it's no big deal. I love to angle things. That's the other thing. And then we're going to use it on black. So you just need a black card base, and I'll have all the measurements on my blog post. So let's get started. And basically we have my lovely embossed panel here, art panel. I always have a paper towel right next to me. The items you also need are going to be the mini spritzer. I love this. And one of the aqua painters. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep this paper towel right next here. I use a clipboard. You can use whatever you want to use. I also have a big Teflon sheet I use, but clipboard is great too. So for this purpose, I'm using that. So I'm gonna line up here the colors I'm using once again so I don't mix them up. And that way it's going to be super easy. So actually I'll put them over here. So what I did is when I created these, I had to do it a few times because the waters kept running together, and it's okay because for this purpose they're gonna run together. But this one you can actually control it by just adding a little bit of water with your aqua painter, and then basically add another one here once you've finished that one, so that they don't run together. You can spritz it, you know, with your spritzer to make them run together, but for this purpose we're sort of gonna make it run together, but not so much. Anyway, you start out basically just your watercolor filled aqua painter, and I'm gonna go ahead and just brush it a little bit with water on my cardstock. And as you can see, there are little holes here, and I've heard some people actually plug some of the holes in. I have to look and see how they're plugging them in, but that's one method to make sure that you're not going to get too much. So I'm just going to sprinkle that much, okay? Which is just a dab. And I'm just going to move the color around. That's pretty much all I'm going to do. Now, but the awesome thing with the paper towel right next to you is that you can blot it up however bright you want it. Now you can take off the color if you're like, nah, I took off too much, then you can add more color back if that's what you want to do. So, and you just move the color around with your brush. That's pretty much it. So, and this one I'm gonna take off a little bit because that's a little too much for me, but you can do it however you want to. It's gonna be your card, obviously. Okay, next one is going to be Mango Melody. And one other tip I want to give you, because I had to give this tip to someone else. When you're trying to clean your aqua painter, what I do is to remove the ink pretty good, or as much as you can, is you basically just squeeze water out as much as you can, and then it's going to against the paper towel, and it's going to remove the ink. So now you can go, and you're not going to mix it with this and that. So that's a little tip you might want to have. I'm going to blow off some of this. So I'm going to go ahead and add water to it again with my brush, and then I'm going to add Mango Melody. And there you have it with the Mango Melody. Okay. And again, I'm just cleaning my brush off. I'm going to put that one away. Next, we're going to use Granny Apple Green. Once again, I'm adding water with my brush. I may blot a little bit because otherwise it's gonna really go together, and I don't really want them to be really merging that much. So anyway, I'm gonna add some of this. As you can see, it's such a pretty bright color. I love it. Okay. And then next I'm gonna go ahead and add more water once again. Then add my Bermuda Bay. There, just a tad bit. Now Bermuda Bay is such a deep color, but I'll show you, you can remove so much of this with just the paper towel. See how pretty that is? Doesn't have to be so dark. In fact, the cool part about this is, like, where we're gonna put the sentiment, I don't want it to be too dark, right? So I just go back with my brush and remove as much color as I want. That's why I like watercoloring. It's not one color. I mean, yes, it's one color, but the depth of it can be so different. It can be lighter, darker. You are the master of this. There. So I just wanted to leave that open like that, right? And then last, again with a clean brush, I'm gonna add more water to the bottom. And yes, we may have a little bit of blue in there, but it's no big deal. I mean Bermuda Bay. And it's trials and errors as well. But that's why watercoloring is so fun, because it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, the less perfect, the better it is, in my book. And here's our gorgeous grape. And again, this one to me is a little too bright, so I'm gonna go ahead and blot it. But I will move it around a little more. So now you can play with the colors however you want them to be, right? And that's the fun part about this. Sorry, my husband is actually cleaning the floors, so he's moving chairs around. So I'm lucky he washes the floors for me. So that's pretty much it you do. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'll remove some more colors here because I just don't want it to be too much. Also, if you have a fun paper towel that has some fun patterns, you can use that as well. So anyway, this is what I'm gonna end up with. So I'm gonna go ahead and just heat this up really quick. I'm gonna cover those later because I wanna make sure I'm putting the right tops back. I'm gonna heat this up with the heat gun, just a little bit. Okay, one more thing I want to say is that, so it's now really nice and dry, so you can stamp on it. You don't want to stamp before it's dry. That's one thing I want to note. And the other thing is that, you want to leave white space, right? So you don't want to be all over. Now, you could if that's the look you want, but I think it's just much cooler if you leave a little white space. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and stamp my sentiments in, and I'm going to use Tuxedo Memento Black. And let's see, I already got one of my little stamps, which is the Wishing You Anne. It's already placed on there. And I'm gonna go ahead and stamp it where it belongs. Now you could totally use your Stamparatus, which, by the way, that's how I stamped this on. That's another tip I want to say. So when you're stamping, especially on watercolor paper, you definitely want to use your Stamparatus. Only because it's not gonna pick up the color or the ink perfect. So you want to go back a couple of times, especially when you're doing embossing, because you really can't see the Versamark, right? So you want to make sure that you go back a few times with the Stamparatus and re-inking it, and that way for sure you're going to get a perfect coverage. So, and obviously here the Stamparatus would shine awesome because you want to make sure that the sentiment is going to go between the lines. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the birthday sentiment out and place it. Once again, typically I place the stamp face down. I don't know if you do that, but then I pick it up with my acrylic block. because that way for sure it's not going to be curved, it's going to be straight. So that's kind of how I control that. So if you have problem with that, there is a tip for you on that. And now I'm just going to go ahead and stamp the birthday on there. And let's hope it's in the middle. Yeah, it's good enough. So now the next tip I want to give you is when you work with watercolor paper, it tends to warp a little bit, or it's not going to be flat, right? Because when you're adding water and all that stuff, it's going to be a little bit drying different. So I highly recommend that you use tear and tape with that. Because that way it's going to sort of be straight, or at least the whole card is going to be warped if it's warped. not this is going to lift off. So I always use tear and tape. And okay, so now I pulled off the backings. I didn't want to bore you with that. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the mat, the Costa Cabana mat. And then I'm going to go ahead and now I can use actually my snail adhesive if I can find it. Where did I put it? Ah, it's right in front of me. So now I'm going to attach it with the snail adhesive. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and line this up as good as I can. Yeah, that's about. I'm trying to line up this along with that as good as I can. And the very last thing I'm gonna do is as you can see on this card, I have sequins. I love sequins. Speaking of sequins and cute things, Stampin' Up! Came out now with the woven thread sequin assortments. Look at the cool colors on that. I love these colors. It's really cute, but I think for this particular card, I prefer the original sequins, and I know it's in front of me, but now I can't find it for the life of me. That's not the one. Yes, it was in front of me. So this is the original sequins. It's called the Iridescent Sequin Assortment. Again, I love the colors on this too, so you can see the difference between the two. This is cooler colors, these are warmer colors. Love both of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add these to my card, and I always add just a few, like maybe 3 or 5, always on even numbers. Stampin' Up! Has now a fine tip glue pen, which I find to be really, really awesome. So basically the way I place my sequins on, and the reason I'm telling you that is because once again I had this conversation with my student who was over here this week, and she was doing it differently. So that's why I'm just pointing this out to you, just in case you're doing it to me the harder way. So I want to show you the easier way. So first of all, I'll go ahead and figure out what sequins I want. I use a tweezer. That's one thing that I want to share. And I'm just gonna kind of place them where I want them to be. And so that takes, sometimes that takes a little time. So, but I wanna make sure that it's gonna be the ones that I want. So I'm going for a yellow-ish one for this. Okay, there is that. So I'm gonna put those there. And perhaps I'll use this one here. But now looking, I don't like this one here, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this color here. There, that's a little bit more playful. So what I do is I kind of go in a triangle, and it's always an off triangle, not a natural triangle. So go like that, sort of, right? If that makes sense. So once you place them where you want them to be, what I do is I push them aside just a little bit, remembering where I wanted them. And then I'll go ahead and add my dab of glue, which is about that much. Maybe that's a little too much. Okay, so that's it. So you add your glue, and then you lift up with the tweezers and place it where you want them to be. There, and voila. So Now we have two cards. So this one is the one that I made originally, and this is the one that I made with the gold embossing of the sentiment. So I don't know, which one do you like? Which one do you prefer? Comment on that if you can tell me. I also think that these are darker colors, as you can see, some of them anyway. Again, you control how dark you want it to be. See, this is Melon Mambo. And look how different they look. I mean, the granny apple green, look how different it looks. That is why I love these pigment sprinkles, because I control how much of a color I want and what color I want. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So if you come visit my blog, I always have tutorials on there for PDF downloadable tutorials if you want to take them with you wherever you go to craft, with your friends. Share my blog with everyone. Subscribe to my video channel, YouTube channel. I'm going to be coming back and showing you how to make this card. And also, well, there you go. This card here, apparently I didn't glue this on correct. So the beautiful Daisy Lane card and the doily card. I love doilies and I love my Daisy Lane. So anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. And have a beautiful day, and come stop by my ilovetostamp.com. I always have a host code for every month when you order. I have a paw pack rewards program. You can earn $65 worth of goods free on my blog if you order through my site. And once again, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy these cards as much as I do. Thanks, bye.